Introduction. Every so often, the dreams of the most innocent souls hold more power than we can imagine. Such was the case when James and Deep, hand in hand with their young daughter Nee, walked together through the gates of the school of Nee's dreams. In that moment, the world seemed perfect. Nee's eyes sparkled with pure happiness, and James and Deep's hearts swelled with renewed hope. Yet, beneath this fleeting joy, life always has its trials waiting just around the corner. Could their happiness withstand the challenges that lay ahead? Would the trials of life test their love and resilience once more? A moment of joy. The morning sun gently rose over the green fields, casting a soft glow as James parked their car in front of the small school. The air still carried the sweet scent of freshly baked bread and ripe fruit. Nee, in her new, pristine school uniform, held tightly onto her little bag, her eyes sparkling with excitement and anticipation. This day, so eagerly awaited, felt like magic. She was finally going to meet new friends, sing songs she had practiced in secret, and perhaps, find a slice of happiness that had long felt so far out of reach. James, despite the weight of work pressures and ongoing negotiations about the farm's fruit, managed a wide smile. He knew that in that moment, Nee's happiness mattered more than any contract. Deep bent down to adjust Nee's collar, whispering sweet words in her ear. The little girl giggled, her shy smile filling the air with a warmth that made the world seem perfect. But behind this serene scene, life was already preparing its tests. The fruit harvest, with all its challenges, banana and pomelo crops, labor shortages, pests, demanded not just hard work, but experience. James knew all too well that beautiful fruit didn't always guarantee a good return. The conversations about prices, transportation, labor costs, and losses from disease echoed in his mind, reminding him that every decision could change the future. Under the weight of responsibility. Later that day, as they walked through the orchard, the sun burned fiercely, and the air smelled of damp earth. James showed Deep how to inspect the leaves, evaluate the size and color of the fruit, and calculate hidden costs invisible to the inexperienced eye. Deep, exhausted yet attentive, absorbed every word. She knew that hard work alone wouldn't be enough. Wisdom and strategy were required to protect the dream they had built. Amidst the branches heavy with fruit, Deep felt a tightness in her chest. She quietly murmured, "What if the storms of life destroy this dream before it even has a chance to grow?" As the day drew to a close, Deep went to pick up Nee from school. The little girl rushed into her arms, singing the song she had learned from her teacher, one about love and gratitude. James watched from a distance, feeling the weight of responsibility settle deeper inside him. Yet, there was also the warmth of a silent promise to protect that smile, no matter the cost. On their way home, Nee animatedly spoke about her new friends and how she hoped one day to help care for the orchard. James and Deep exchanged a quick glance, a mix of tenderness and concern. They both knew that the road ahead would not be easy. Evening reflections. Nightfall brought the scent of burning wood and the distant hum of crickets. In their simple kitchen, Deep prepared dinner while Nee played with an old teddy bear. James sat quietly, his hands cradling his face, lost in thought. He remembered the invitation from his father, asking him to work abroad. He understood Deep's refusal. She sought peace, not just duty. But reality was tightening around him, like the thick skin of a pomelo. James knew that their happiness required stability, and stability demanded tough choices. As the wind gently tapped at the windows, he fell asleep with a tired smile, dreaming of Nee's school. That night, James and Deep sat in silence, their hands meeting on the table, united in both fear and hope. They wished, silently, that their little girl's happiness would last forever. But they also knew that the world outside was uncertain, and dark clouds were gathering on the horizon. Still, in that moment, they chose to believe that love, hard work, and hope would be strong enough to weather any storm. New day, same struggles. The next morning, the sound of birds singing blended with the distant hum of the river. Nee woke up early, her eyes still bright with joy. She ran to the kitchen, where Deep was making breakfast and James was reviewing price notes for the fruit. The little girl threw herself into Deep's arms and whispered, "I dreamed that today the school would be even more beautiful." Deep smiled, trying to hide the concern that weighed on her heart. James closed his notebook and gazed out the window. The heavy clouds on the horizon were a clear sign that trouble was brewing. He knew that one wrong move in the market could cost them everything, and the competition was becoming fiercer by the day. Yet, when he saw Nee jumping for joy as she put on her backpack, he felt a glimmer of courage. Tough decisions ahead. On the way to school, the car rattled over the dirt roads, and the fresh scent of wet grass filled the air. From the back seat, Nee sang the same song she had learned the previous day. James and Deep exchanged a glance, but their minds were miles away, filled with unpaid bills, pending contracts, and the persistent shadow of James's father's offer to work overseas. After dropping Nee off at school, the couple made their way to the orchard. The wind was stronger now, shaking the leaves and scattering fallen fruit across the ground. James picked up a bruised orange and sighed. Storms always seemed to arrive when least expected. But Deep, her voice gentle, replied, "It's after the storms that the sky clears." That afternoon, they met with a buyer to discuss the price of the pomelos. The man's cold gaze and calculating words offered a price far below what they expected. James felt anger rise in his chest, but he took a deep breath and remembered Nee's smile. She was the reason he couldn't give up. He negotiated fiercely, using every ounce of experience he had gained over the years. In the end, they struck a modest but fair deal. When they went to pick up Nee, the little girl ran to them holding a drawing, 3 figures holding hands beneath a large rainbow. "It's us 3, she said proudly. Deep's eyes welled with tears. James, his voice thick with emotion, responded, "As long as we're together, no rainbow will ever fade." A simple family moment. That night, the family gathered around the simple dinner table. The food was modest, but the warmth of their togetherness filled every space. Outside, the wind still howled, and the clouds loomed ominously, reminding them that challenges were never far away. But for a brief moment, under the soft yellow light of the lamp, James and Deep allowed themselves to believe that love and determination could weather any storm. After all, a child's dream, born from sadness, had the power to light up their entire world. A glimpse of future struggles. In the following days, their routine felt calm, but small cracks began to appear like distant clouds on the horizon. James woke up before sunrise each morning, spending long moments gazing at the orchard, wondering how long he could keep everything afloat amid the market shifts and the growing debt. Deep noticed the exhaustion in his slumped shoulders, but she also knew that keeping his worries to himself was James's way of protecting her, and himself. One afternoon, while gathering freshly cut bananas, James received an urgent call from a supplier warning of an unexpected increase in transportation costs. He closed his eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. Deep, seeing his expression harden, reached for his hand and whispered, "We're not alone." "We'll find a way." The gentle touch broke through the anxiety that James had built up around his heart. Later that day, when they went to pick up Nee from school, the little girl ran up to them with a crumpled piece of paper. It was an essay she had written. "My dream is to see James and Deep smile every day." Deep read it in silence, her eyes brimming with tears. James ran his fingers through Nee's hair, trying to smile, though his gesture trembled. The innocence of Nee's words reminded them both that, even amid difficulties, there was always a reason to keep going. A storm brews. That night, a real storm began to form. The wind whistled through the cracks in their home, and the rain pounded the zinc roof. Sitting by the window, James and Deep spoke softly, careful not to wake Nee, who slept hugging her teddy bear. James broke the silence. "I'm afraid I won't be strong enough." Deep looked at him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the lamp. Being strong isn't about never being afraid. It's about holding my hand, even when the world seems to fall apart. The sound of the rain seemed to soften. James took her hand, their fingers intertwining firmly. For a brief moment, the thunder outside became a silent promise of resistance. They knew more.